Good day, everyone. This is Jeff, Tommy, and Brooks from Goods Golden's farm. This is the second video series of a video that I'm creating involving setting up. In my case, I'm going to use this as a perimeter fence. That's my goal. I don't have guardian dogs, and I don't have a perimeter fence. It's totally established. I have some fencing, but I don't have a perimeter fence established on my farm here. This is about a 3.5 to 4 acre paddock here it's essentially a natural civil pasture. It's been a area that's been kind of let go for the past 5 to 7 years. And what I'm attempting to do here in my first video, I showed mowing with my Kubota tractor and mower. I made several passes here with my finish mower. I don't have a brush hog. This is a job for a brush hog if you have one, but I don't, so I get by. I'm trying to do as few inputs as possible, but decided after doing some experimenting in this tall forage that I'm going to definitely need to keep the power on the fence, keep it from shorting out. Just ease of use with this Premier fencing, it's really impossible to try to deal with this kind of thing. So while I'm creating this regenerative pasture here with sheep pressure and chicken impact and chickens and sheep, I'm preparing for getting 2 ewe lambs here sometime within the next several days. So the first video I was mowing these paths. I mowed all along this fence here that I'm going to use for this poly fence. It goes from this corner gate post down here all the way down to the property line down there, and it can be hot. It's all insulated. So essentially what I'm going to do is make these, it's 164 foot sheep netting from Premier One. For those of you that haven't dealt with it, it's a little bit cumbersome to deal with when you're first getting used to it. I've played around with it now for a few weeks. I found it best to lay it out flat like this and get all the twist and everything out of it. So I'm going to basically go down and start down at this corner post down here. I've also found that it's nice to use these small metal corner posts. They're light, easy to use. They can drive them in on an angle, and they make for a real nice tight fence. So essentially I'm going to start here. Made the mistake last night on my trial run. I didn't have this mowed, and I started out, sorry, I'm going too fast for the vertigo. Started out down there, but I've decided that, well, I've got this fence down there, how I'm going to move the sheep to the next paddock. I may have to get another set of fence or another length of fence, another 164, which would give me 2 perimeters, and I could get about a week's worth of moves on those. What I'm going to try to do is move my 2 lambs every day on the fresh pasture and have them put as much impact on here as I think they can. And if it takes more than a day, I'll leave them here a day. We've got plenty of rain here this summer in hot central Ohio. We're not in a drought condition like a lot of other folks are. We just got probably a ½ inch of rain within the last 3 or 4 days. You can see everything is lush and growing. But my goal is to knock these weeds, forbs. Hopefully the lambs will eat them. Especially these new sprouts that are coming up that I mowed about a week and a half ago. You can kind of see the difference on both sides of the fence there, what a week and a half of growth does. I do have plenty of grass here, but I do have plenty of weeds, so you can see the weeds coming back. And if I can't get lambs on here to knock this weed pressure down, I'm just going to have another weed field here. So you can see how the weeds are kind of taking over this pasture. My hope is that the lambs will eat a lot of this, and then I'll follow them with chickens. My mobile chicken tractor and eggmobile and skids. So I'll follow the sheep through these paddocks and move around the farm. So what I'm doing here is my second phase. I've got this corner set up where I'm going to start with the gate. It's just basically where the two ends come together. These are about 16 paces to get to a square here. So if I go down 16 paces here, it's going to come down to where that mall is behind the tractor. And then I'll go over another 16 paces, and then I'll tie in over to that corner post there. So in order to do that, I've strung the fence out. Flat, which if you have a grazed area or a mowed area like I have here in front of the barn, it's the way to go, in my opinion, is just to get it laid out as flat as you can. Trying to roll it, it gets all tangled up and twisted. I think you're better off just pulling it like this. And the reason I did it like this, came down this far, is because this is the one end, and I'm just going to go down this way and pull this and come down here. I had this rolled up, it'd be all tangled up right now, so I'm just pulling this like this, and I'll go back and see how cumbersome this can be to use. It twisted easily, so what I'll do is I'll just, as I keep going here, I'll just pull this around to keep it out of the briars and things like that. So it is a little difficult to work with. It does take a knack to get it, but I find if you lay it out flat like this and then just pull it along, it seems to be much better. This will be 4 posts on each side, counting the corners. So sorry if I'm making you dizzy here. I'm trying to do this again, I'm not doing any editing. I'm shooting live as we go. Bear with me. So this will be corner post here. That'll tie off on that gate post. And then I'll stretch this section out, tie it off to that metal post down there. I might have to move it. Should have just left it lay there and put it in a minute. But I wanted to start right here for many reasons. It's close to the barn. This will be my training pen, so to speak. The drawback is I don't really have any shade in here, so I'll have to, keep plenty of water out here. And I'm not expecting any really hot temperatures, probably mid-80s, so we're not going to be in the hundreds or anything like that. We usually have partly cloudy skies with some storms this time of year, so I'm not too worried about shade in this first paddock, especially as these lambs get acquainted to the farm. As you can see down through, I'll have some shade with some wild blackberry brambles and some smaller trees down throughout that paddock. So here's what I'm doing. I'm going to tie that off to that post there. I'm going to tie the gate down there off to that metal post that's down there. I'll probably have to reset that. I'll come down here, these 4, counting the corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my next corner will be right here. And that shows me that I am going to have to mow. Actually, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to come away from that post this far. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Because I've got this mowed out. I'm not going to use that corner post. I'll come out to the edge of this mow line here with this one. So it'll be more like right here. And then I'll make sure I don't pin that, which I did. So I pinned some fencing in there. So I'll come off here. And then I'll stretch 4 posts, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is about 16 paces. And that'll hopefully get me out, to this edge line, mow line here. Yeah, that's good. So instead of using that corner post as an anchor, I'm just gonna have to use another steel post, which I have, which is no big deal. But yeah, this will be the start of it. So I've essentially got two sides laid out. I'll go down here another 4 posts. So I'll set a corner post here, a small metal corner post. Work really well for tying these off with those poly yellow braided lines that come with this Premier One fencing. I'll come down here, down this mow line here, and I'll run down to that corner there, and then every 16 paces down this paddock, I'll back my mower in and make another pass on this whole entire side here. So it'll get me 4 or 5 paddocks here that I'll prep with the mow line. Then as the sheep and the lambs come down and graze this, hopefully those weed sprouts will be growing back in that grow line. It'll be nice and tender, and besides what they'll already eat, as far as, I'm not sure what they're going to eat here and what they're not going to eat. What they probably don't eat, I'll knock down with the mower behind them and try to get this pasture regenerated here with, natural seed bank, clovers, grasses, timothies, and that sort of grasses. So this is kind of halfway through this process. I will continue to set this fence up. Don't have anybody to video for me, unfortunately, but I'll continue to set this fence up, and then I'll mow the paths in the rest of this paddock, and then I'll have it all set up and ready to go for the ewes, and I'll give you a final overview of how everything turned out. But again, I think the biggest thing in working with Premier One netting, for those of you who have any experience, maybe you can give some comments, but I really think that laying it out flat like this on shorter grass is the way to go versus trying to coil it up or bunch it up. It just seems to get all tangled up. So that's what I'm finding. Hopefully I can just set this paddock up every week and then move it, actually twice a week. Tommy and Brooks heard something. This is Goods Golden's farm, so they're a big part of the farm here, and a lot of wildlife here as well. So that's one of the reasons I'm using this netting for perimeter. I need a perimeter fence, obviously. I'm going to try to use the poly braid on the internal to try to, train them to a double or single strand. I know, Greg Judy and those guys do that very, very successfully. But it is key to have predator protection, which I don't have guardian dogs and not planning on getting any until this flock gets much larger. I probably will get a guardian dog, when I get up to 10, 15, 20 ewes, which I think this land can support. I've got about 8 acres here total. A lot of it would be silvo pasture in the woods, but I've got a lot of vegetation in the woods as well. So in the winter, I plan on, letting them use the woods for cover. I'm, Greg Judy style here. I don't plan on, giving these lambs any feed, any hay. I want to use stockpile. I'm not going to keep them in a barn. They're going to be outside year round. And that's my plan. If I can't raise them that way, then I don't want to raise them. So I'm either going to figure out how to raise them that way or do something different. But anyway, just wanted to give you a heads up. I've seen some videos on Premier netting, but haven't really seen any detail on how to set it up without being frustrated. So what I'm trying to do here is provide as much content on my channel as possible. I don't have a lot of views yet, but I appreciate you liking, subscribing, sharing these videos. Everybody's got to start somewhere, and I've learned a ton on YouTube and get an immense amount of enjoyment out of watching YouTube videos. And so I'll keep you posted of the third and final series on this Premier One sheep netting setup. Have a good day, everyone.